What's up? It's Amy. Of course, I had to be yet another self-development video to clog up your feed as we enter the new decade, as we enter 2020. Today, I wanted to do 5 mindset habits to help change your life. Now, these are all mindset habits I've adopted and have really learned to apply in my life and have found them extremely transformative. So, let's get into it. Number 1, success is not a zero-sum game. Now, in game theory and in economic theory, zero-sum describes a situation in which one person's gain exactly balances out another person's loss. Now, in games like chess, one person wins, another person loses. And so often we think that our success comes at the expense of others, or another person's success comes at the expense of ours. But the truth is, there is more than enough success to go around for everybody. We often think of success as a pie, and if someone gets a bigger slice, you get a smaller slice. But the truth is, the pie is endless and infinite. I think this is extremely important for young females and also just young creatives. So basically everybody to really adopt this mentality, because it's not a dog-eat-dog-eat world in the sense that everyone is our competition. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I was reading a Time magazine article on the CEO and founder of SoulCycle, and one of her biggest pieces of advice for your career was, don't think about how others can contribute to you, but think about how you can contribute to others, regardless of your title, status, economic power. And I truly attribute all of my success, abundance, prosperity in the intention of just truly helping other people. I never think about what people can serve me, but more so how I can serve them. So success is not a zero-sum game. Your success does not come at the expense of someone else's, and vice versa. Number 2, you can't make your parents happy. They can't even make themselves happy. Now, you can replace parents with pretty much any other person or identity that you're essentially seeking external validation from. I think this is really important for you guys, because most of my audience is honestly young people just trying to get their lives together, young 20-something-year-olds, millennials, Gen Z, whatever you want to call it. I think that the faster we understand this mindset, the quicker we can really become self-actualized and really become who it is that we need to be in this lifetime, rather than an expectation of ourselves that someone else put on us. Growing up as a young Asian American woman, I thought that going to school and getting certain grades, getting a 4.0, going to a prestigious university, getting this amount of money would finally give me the sense of worthiness and a sense of validation as if I was adequate. But the quicker I did those things, the more that I jumped through certain hoops that my parents had set up for me, or just society, I realized that none of this was truly a solution to a problem that could only be solved internally. For me, the sooner I realized that everybody else was on their own journey to finding validation and feeling worthy and loved, the quicker that I could pursue my own journey of feeling whole inside, rather than chasing the next goalpost, the next milestone, the next achievement. It's important to realize that everyone is on this journey to loving themselves and feeling worthy and validated, including our parents. Number 3, happiness is an inside job. So many of us struggle from what I call destination anxiety or displacement fantasy. It's the idea that if you move somewhere, if you get this car, if you have this partnership, if you buy this house, if you make this certain amount of money, you will finally be happy. But the problem with this is that it always takes away from the only moment that we have, which is the now. The past is over, the future has not yet come, the only moment we have is now. I think that's a quote, but I don't know where it's from. Usually I would know. Anyways, it's essentially that idea that wherever you go, there you are. No matter how far you travel, you can never get away from yourself. Haruki Murakami. While yes, moving to new places and cities and apartments can bring you new experiences, your coping mechanisms, or their lack of, your views on the world still follow you wherever you go. Your childhood trauma, all of the things that you feel like you can escape from, it's a displacement fantasy, and all of those follow you wherever you are. Another reason why accomplishing achievements or moving to new places is problematic is because it takes away the idea that problems are essentially forever. And what I mean by that is, when you're single, you have single problems, and then when you become in a relationship, your single problems disappear. But then what do you have now? Relationship problems. Once you live in an apartment, you have an apartment problem, and then when you move to a house, you have a house problem. So it's the idea that problems are going to be everywhere. That's just how the human mind and works. And it's not about eradicating this problem and never having it again. It's just a displacement. You'll find problems wherever you go in life. And like one of my favorite spiritual thought leaders on YouTube says, get real about how you feel so that you can heal. Candace Vandell. When we not only identify our unhappiness or that we're not doing okay, but also identify the root cause of it, it is only then that we can truly show up as authentically and as powerfully as we know that we can in this world. Number 4, the lesson keeps presenting itself until the lesson has been learned. I think that so many of us are so quick to think when hardship, turmoil come up in our lives, we think, why is this happening to me? But the truth is that it's often happening for you. And a lot of the same similar toxic patterns and behaviors come up in our lives because it is showing us that we still need to learn and grow from something. I can't tell you how many friendships and relationships that I felt similar pains and similar hardship, and I just couldn't figure out why it was always happening to me rather than happening for me. There's a story that Oprah often talks about when she talks about her abusive early relationships in her 20s. She often dated a lot of men where she was consistently seeking validation and a sense of worthiness from, and being around women who had been physically abused, she told herself that, you know, men can talk to me any which way, but as long as they don't physically abuse me, that's okay. And then she realized when one day her boyfriend slammed the door on her hand, it made her fall down and look at herself in front of the mirror, and with her bruised hand she realized that she was just battered in spirit, and she realized that she was no different from her physically abused cousin, and that she had not been learning the lesson. And it was then in that moment with her bruised hand that she realized the lesson needed to be learned. A lot of people and a lot of patterns show up in our lives, but we don't honestly see how it is that we are attracting this energy into our life, and it's often because we're not growing or learning from it. We're not learning the lessons. So something I often ask myself when I find similar people or similar energy in different people and different names, I ask myself, like, what is it, universe, that I clearly need to learn here? What is the common thread that I'm not learning here? The people that you meet in your life are reflections of a similar repeated cycle or are guides to a new start. It is only until when we level up and upgrade in our lessons that we can attract new people, new experiences, and new different types of hardship, I guess. Number 5, we don't need one person doing it perfectly. We need a whole collective just trying to do better. For about a year when I was in college, I went plant-based, and I felt like because the vegan community was so critical of many of the YouTubers, I was very quiet about it, but I just wanted to make a conscious effort in eating better and also helping the environment. But I quickly found that it was a little bit restrictive and made me very obsessive about the way that I eat. And so now I just try to eat as plant-based as I can. Of course, I still enjoy, you know, fried chicken here and there. I know that for many of us, just trying to do better can seem really daunting, or it can even repel us because there's so much criticism on how to do better. You know, like I think I get criticism for bringing a glass straw, but then my cup is plastic, and I don't think that that's what we should be focusing on. Pause. I know it sounds like I'm taking that comment really personally, but I assure you I'm not. I really should look into getting reusable tumblers for coffee shops. But what I'm trying to say is, like, what is that aggressive rhetoric or that aggressive criticism truly doing for the planet or for the turtles? It's just like there's such a huge responsibility nowadays for us to do things completely correctly or perfectly that it can essentially repel us or be extremely daunting for us to even want to get started. And so with this whole mindset shift, like for example, I completely ditched plant-basedism because I thought that I just kept setting myself up for failure. I kept doing things incorrectly, but then I just decided to ditch that mentality altogether. And even if it was just eating 2 out of 3 meals a day that were plant-based with no animal product, I told myself that that was a lot better for us as a collective than me just throwing in the towel completely. And so if you're anyone like me who understands that you want to do better, but there's such a huge weight on you to do things like completely right, please be gentle with yourselves and on others as a society. society, because my favorite quote by Maya Angelou, it says, when you know better, you can do better. And the reality of it is that many of us don't know how to do better. So instead of just like being really scared to do things correctly or perfectly, I think that small efforts should totally be acknowledged. But that's not to say that I don't think that we shouldn't be doing all of our efforts to doing things the best way we know how. Like, I do think that like this is not a pass for doing things crappily or half-assed. I definitely think that we should put in all our efforts and all our knowledge to doing the best that we know how until we know better. And I think that we as a collective just need to be trying to do better, because if you think about it, climate change, our plastic use, the meat industry, we're not just one person's effect. A lot of this was a collective effort in pretty much destroying our planet. That got really dark, oh my god. Before you think about going plant-based, zero waste, minimalist, just think about how you can do things at a smaller step each and every day, and how that as a collective, as a whole society, could do far more than just one person doing everything perfectly. And I think that this mind shift has really helped me to be a lot more kind and forgiving on myself, and also to just implement healthier ways of living. And I know that in the long run that this will be far more effective than me just not trying at all to better myself, better the environment, better humanity. So those are my 5 mindset habits to change your life. Let me know in the comments down below if you had a favorite one or just a different mindset habit that could be really helpful to me in this community. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! Happy 2020!